morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Professor Ming's Strategic Insights. Now, the big news in the world is, of course, Trump's tariffs. His tariffs on almost each and every country in the world. And for China, he imposes an additional 34% of new tariffs on Chinese goods, on top of the 20% he already imposed on China weeks ago. So that makes China now taking a 54% tariff from Trump. On top of that, Trump signed an executive order to be effective on May the 2nd, which terminates the so-called de minimis exemption, or we call it a small parcel exemption, anything under the value of $800 from Communist China and Hong Kong. So that's another blow to China. We know that the Chinese economy is now in very bad shape. It's been suffering very weak domestic consumption, and it's experiencing real estate troubles, and there's very high unemployment rate, even among the youngsters or the younger people. So the 54% tariffs will deal another heavy, very, very heavy blow on China. We know that Beijing says we're going to retaliate. We're going to impose, again, a 34% of tariffs on American goods as retaliation. But Trump says, if you retaliate, I'll add another 50% on top of the already existing 34%. We don't know what China will do next, but let's do the calculation based on the current 34% rate. It's easier to do it this way. Like I said, we all know that China's economy is not very good, so we want to know that what kind of impact does this additional 54% of tariffs would do to China's economy. The estimate we're doing today is kind of rough, but the future is kind of uncertain because there'll be negotiations between the two countries, between Beijing and Washington, D.C. So we don't know what the final result would be. But the general direction will be like this. So this is a rough estimation, but I guess it's kind of reliable. Well, there are several ways that we can approach this question. I suppose the first impact it will have is on China's export. First, we can guess that China's export will be hit heavily, and it will reduce its competitiveness. It is estimated that China's export will shrink anywhere from 30 to 40%. If we transfer it into dollar value, that means we're looking at roughly a $300 billion loss on China's export. And the biggest sectors hit, the biggest sector in Chinese industry be hit would be first the electronics equipment, and the second would be textile, and third one would be plastic products. So these would be the three major sectors being hit by this new tariffs. Together with the sharp decrease in export would be probably a rapid shift of China's industrial chain, or we call it a supply chain. Like Apple or Tesla would probably be moving out of China sooner than we expect. And the so-called cross-border e-commerce will shrink in China. China's cross-border e-commerce will shrink rapidly. And then the medium to small size business in China would probably go bankrupt in massive numbers. That's the first impact we can see in terms of China's export industries. The second area of impact of this 54% tariff on China's economy would be on China's financial capability, or on China's finance as a whole. First, we can see that there'll be a great reduction in China's trade surplus. It will not enjoy as much as a big trade surplus as it used to. So that's first thing. And second, it'll probably lead to a faster outflow of China's capital or Chinese money. or foreign exchange. The third one we see is a quick reduction of China's foreign exchange reserve. Then it will probably lead to a faster depreciation of China's currency, renminbi. So these would be visible pretty soon. And then it will probably lead to the further deterioration of the financial capability or financial situation of the local governments all over China, especially for those provinces who rely heavily on exports or even on land finance. And these will be the provinces that's been hit the most. The third impact of this tariff war will show on Chinese society. First, we see there have already many ghost towns around China, all over China, actually, from north to south, because of the poor economic performances. And then we'll see a probably more and more refusal to repay their home mortgages all over China. Some people call it a mortgage boycott or mortgage strike. And then these two will lead to a trouble in China's banking system or China's financial system, because many local banks or smaller banks will probably go bankrupt and probably need some relief measures from central government. We've seen that there have already been more than 2 million houses go to the auction market in the year 2023. If more and more business owners go bankrupt, then it is estimated that the houses that go to auction, if more and more business owners go bankrupt, then we can expect the number of the houses that go to auction will probably double. So we're looking at probably 4 million houses go to the auction, which is an alarming figure. Then following that would be unemployment. We know that there are almost 200 million people in China. 200 million Chinese people are involving in export or related businesses. So if that should go that far, then we're probably looking at an additional 360 million people would go unemployed, which will make the unemployment rate in China probably hitting a record high of 50% among the younger people, especially the young graduates who just graduated from the colleges. These new unemployed students who just leave the college or leave the high schools, they're different. They're different from the average Chinese people. They're educated, and they got brain, and they think they got talents, but they got no jobs. So that will create a much bigger problem for Chinese society. And the last thing associating with that would be a hike in crime rates, and that's almost for sure. So it's, like I said, it's almost on the horizon. It's destined to come. That's the third impact. The fourth impact would be a more structural one. If the trend goes like this, if the trend continues on, they'll probably see a further blockade, a further boycott from the United States or from other advanced economies around the world, which prevent advanced technology or parts or services going to China or going to Chinese businesses, which will increase the gap between China's technology advancement and the counterparts all over the world. And that's the first structural dilemma we see. The second one we can see is the energy safety. China relied heavily upon foreign resources. For instance, in the year 2023, it has to import 72% of its oil from foreign countries and 45% of its liquid natural gas from abroad. So if that should be blockaded to a certain extent, then that means that China would have to turn to a more energy-intensive production, which goes contrary to its so-called green energy policy as proposed in the so-called two sessions, as we mentioned before. And that also may mean even further advancement of state-owned enterprises and more repression and a further repression on privately owned businesses. So it's a vicious cycle on China's economic development. So in short, we're looking at the forming or the emergence of a vicious cycle. First, we see the shrinkage in export, and then we see the deterioration in unemployment, and then in stagnation in consumption, domestic consumption, and then which would probably lead to a shrinkage in further investment. So it's like it's an active cycle. We can see. Together, we see the stagnation in real estate business, and the hiking domestic debts, and the aging of the Chinese population. All these are what we call the structural problems, and they may go together. They may go hand in hand. So they'll make things even worse than we can expect. So that's the fourth impact. The fifth one can be seen on China's GDP growth rate. China expects to see a GDP growth rate at 5% for the year 2025, for this year. It's unlikely to achieve because by all the leading financial groups or the leading financial banks in the world, according to their estimate, China's GDP growth rate would be cut in half. So that would be the optimistic estimation. So we're looking at about 2.4, 2.5, probably around that figure. So all these are assessed based on the 54% rate of tariffs. If we look at another side of the story, the thing would be even more pessimistic. Remember the thing we talked about, manufactured laundry? If we look at the tariff rates Trump imposes on other countries such as Cambodia and those countries, things would be even worse for China. Well, let me give a few examples. Now the tariff rate Trump imposes on Cambodia is 49%, on Laos 48%, on Vietnam 46%, Myanmar 44%, Thailand 36%, Indonesia 32%, Malaysia 24%. All these are what we call the manufactured laundry sites. So Trump administration knows it well, and he also put them into consideration. That means China has almost no way out. Trump thinks it through this time, all the way. So that means China is facing a very, very tough situation. And then the last impact would be on politics, on Chinese domestic politics. Because if any leader caused that kind of problem for China's economy, he'll be facing challenges in addition to the political purge he's been conducting from civilian to military. So it'll cause some kind of a backlash in China's politics, and that's for sure. Like I said, this is a preliminary analysis, and there's more to come because there'll be negotiations, there'll be exchange of fires between China, between China and the United States, between China and other countries, and China may join hands with European countries, with Canada, with other countries who are not satisfied with Trump's tariff policy. And so there'll be many rounds to come. And like I said, we'll keep very close watch on what's going on and what's going to happen next. And we will offer our observations from time to time. Anyway, it's going to be around with us for a long period of time. So that's all I want to share with you today. I hope you liked today's program. And please subscribe if you haven't done so. And share it with our friends. And then, don't forget to click the icon bell so that you get a simultaneous notification when we have a new episode on. And that's all for today. And we'll see you next time.